Howdy hobbyists, today on Treetop. I use a pipe clamp for the first time, have a complete meltdown.
Honestly, I'm thinking about giving up this whole YouTube bullshit.
And I look at a board. So when your wife asks you if you can build a bookshelf side table thing that looks kind of like this, you go ahead and do it and you film it. So today I'm going to build a bookshelf side table thing. I'll give a little play-by-play as I go, and this isn't going to be as easy as you think. At least not as easy as I thought.
Okay, so we're going to cut this board. This is my upside. This is my upside right here. So I want to cut, since I'm using a circular saw where the blade is pulling up, there's going to be a little bit of tear out. There's a good chance of that. I'm going to measure exactly 60 inches from the end of the side that I want as my upside, which is under here. Go way out there. Let's talk pull. There's 60 inches right there. Take my square. That is my cut line. Making sure that's really square. So that I'm square here, I'm going to go exactly 4 inches over, flush it nice and tight. I'm going to go from this angle since this is how I did on the last one. I'm going to go right on that mark. Square. So now what I got to do is give myself a sort of a track, which is going to use this shop square. I'm going to make sure that thing is right on, and very carefully clamp her down. Good. Tighten her down. Now I've got a nice track to push my saw up against. Remember, it's tearing up. So my blade will be just on the outside, just outside that line as I cut in. Nice, steady, confident hand. Bring the blade up to speed. And I'm just gonna mark this top. Okay, now I'm going to do the exact same thing, at least technique-wise, for the next two pieces, but they're going to be a little bit shorter. They can't be as long as this because they're going to sit inside the two uprights, whereas these will sit on top of
it. For this part of the build, I'm pretty happy with how things turned out. The adage of measure twice, cut once definitely counts here, and I caught myself a couple times making the wrong marks on the wrong points, but as a habit, I like to go back and check my work and my measurements a couple times, and sometimes I'll use a different source. I'll start with a tape measure, go to the shop square, maybe a different tape measure, something like that, just to make sure I'm getting the marks correctly. Even there, you'll see where I kind of made my marks incorrectly, just scribble those out, check again, and we're right on. Everything milled out. Turns out I did pretty good. Again, measure twice, cut once, gang.
Okay, so I've got everything milled out to spec, those specs, and now I've got to figure out how to get the top and the sides together. So we're going to want one leg essentially here. It'll butt up in there. I'm not going to use any screws today. I'm going to try to just do dowels. I'm going to have to be really precise, otherwise these edges won't match. This is terrifying. I don't know if I'm doing this right, I'll be honest with you. What is half of 3/4? See it drift over? That looks like a cheap piece of build by a guy who doesn't know what he's doing, which is exactly accurate. This is as far from being square as you could possibly be. Honestly, I'm thinking about giving up this whole YouTube bullshit. I don't get views, can't really do woodwork.
I don't know what to do. I'm gonna turn this off and see if I can't figure something out. Okay, so in a stream of humility, I don't have the know-how or the wherewithal or the tools, really, for that matter, to do this correctly, at least with dowels. So I'm going to do it is just a straight glue up with brad nails, and I would stop, go back, restart the whole video, and try to look like a professional. But the fact of the matter is, I'm learning, and that's supposed to be the whole point of this channel. I'm going to take my time. We've kind of got to get this done because this room is that this goes in is kind of important, and I'm going to do it the way I know I can get at least close. The bond is not going to be as good as it would be with dowels, so I'm going to figure something out there and try to reinforce what I can. That's kind of the point of this channel. That's why I'm not going back and making it look like I knew exactly what to do and how perfectly to do it. Hopefully you can learn from me, and we'll just chalk it up to experience and go on from there. Yeah, well put, Greg. The fact of the matter is that's embarrassing. That's not great behavior. And I'm sure no woodworker in his shop has ever exploded and been frustrated, because that never happens to anybody else but me, right? Yeah, we're going to move forward, and we're going to figure a couple things out, and I'll touch on those as I go through the build here. Less play-by-play, more observation on your part, and let's just see what happens. So one thing I noticed here is with the 60-inch span, even with 2 levels, this thing's going to sag if you put too much weight on it, especially over time. So I'm going to have to build in some supports and a lower shelf. This wasn't in the original design, but it made sense to get this thing as sturdy as possible. So I'll do a center support at the top, which will be 10 inches, and then 2 side supports on either side, and then I'll do 1 tiny little foot at the bottom shelf, which I think I did off camera because I forgot to record it. But you'll see how I put all this together after some fairly cumbersome clamping. Get it all in there. Brad nails. I am going to put in some dowels after all in these lower shelves, because the sheer weight going straight down, there's really nothing in there but a glue bond, which should be fine. But I really want this to be function over form and make sure this can hold a lot of weight. She's going to put a lot of books on it, and books get heavy. So nice and sturdy, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm going to work really hard in my finishing process to make sure that it looks correct and it looks nice and aesthetically pleasing and matches the rest of the room. The wood, as you might guess, did not come from my mill. This came from the Big Orange store. Had to get this one done relatively quick. I don't have the wood dried. It's a stain grade pine. Check your local markets to see what's available and what the cost is. I bought them in 8-foot pieces. They can be easily found. You could probably do this in oak or other materials as well. The price was right on these, and it matches the desk that I had built for my wife earlier on.
You got me exclusive. I'm so high up and lucid. You take me to a safe place.
As I mentioned earlier, here's where I'm using those dowel pins to secure the shelves. Wood glue is going to make a really good bond as long as you clamp it. But here, I really wanted to make sure I had good, strong support for lots of weight. I'm not Blacktail Studios and I'm not Four Eyes yet, but we'll get there. Right now, this is what I need to get done, and I'm going to use the tools and the skills that I have to get it done and then improve from there. I want it to be great. It's going to be really, really good. I would prefer not to have those things showing in the wood, but that's where my skill set is right now, and we'll get there. I'll leave a link to some dowel jigs that should be used if you don't want to do like this, if you want to do it the way I originally intended to do it. and as soon as I can afford it, I'll get some and may even rebuild this project. We'll see. Along with that, I'll leave links to all my tools that I use in the description below. Be sure to check those out. If you like them and you select them and you pay through them through my link, I get a small percentage of that sale. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just the way that Amazon and some of my affiliates say thanks for promoting their product.
We don't tell us all what we gon' do. Dirty little secrets, yeah. Keep it in the streets with us. When we make it rain in our bedroom. When we make it rain in our, you got me exclusive. I'm so high up and lucid. You take me to a safe place. We steady on the same pace, yeah. I'm crazy, you like that. Don't back down, no you talk back. Keep it spicy, there's a fact. We on the right track, yeah. Yeah, you don't got the time for us. When we make it rain in our bedroom, we don't tell us all what we gon' do. Dirty little secrets, yeah. Keep it in the streets with us. When we make it rain in our bedroom.
So in the sanding process, I actually went pretty aggressive with an 80 grit. Started there because I had so many holes from all the dowels and everything and the brads. And then, you know, there was a little bit of tear out on some of the corners. So I went pretty aggressive and then went to a 120 and then a 240. So that was kind of my sanding process, just to try to get this thing just really smooth and tight, and it'll take on the stain a little bit better and have a nice smooth, hard finish. Here I'm using that 120 grit to just give myself a slight round over on those facing edges, and it made for a nice smooth transition between all the pieces.
When we make it rain in our,
I just wanna fight for a cause. If I get to know my purpose, I don't know if I'll like it or not. God, I know that you're the answer.
Okay, so on with this stain. I used a Varathane gunstock color. I love that color. I've used it on a couple projects now, so went out and bought a new one. And then I'm going to use Danish oil as kind of my standby finish for this sort of thing. You'll notice that I'm using a sponge brush for the finish. Regular brush for the stain, which is fine. I like the way brushes get into it, but you know, cloth works too. But then I use the Danish oil to do my first finish. See if you can tell me what I'm doing wrong there. I know I figure it out eventually, but see what you think.
Yeah, you say your plans for me, turn my mess to a melody.
Okay, so one thing happened during the finishing process. I came back in the morning and the oil sheen was a little bit higher. There was more sheen than I was expecting to see. So it hadn't really set up yet, and it was a little bit goopy, if you will. I don't know if I added the oil too soon and it somehow mixed with the stain and kind of got a little, not great, but some of it's fine. You know, you don't expect a high sheen after one coat. It would take several coats to get a high sheen. What that oil is supposed to do is penetrate in there and make the wood really hard, nice hard surface. So I sanded a little bit and it got goopy on the sand pad and on the wood, which is not great. It looks terrible actually. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it harden just a little bit longer. Some of it I'll be able to sand down just a little bit, but you gotta let that oil really get hard. And I may have to take some acetone and just a real light, I may even try to dilute it a little bit with some water or something like that, and try to get the oil that's still sitting on top of here. And then we'll just restain it and start over again with the finishing process. So given how this project has gone with some frustration and whatnot, this really doesn't alarm me too much. I know there's an easy fix. You know, refinishing something's much easier than having to rebuild it or cut new pieces or create huge gapping holes in there. Again, it's okay. You know, we'll make it work. I'm super happy with the design and the build up and the glue up. Finishing doesn't bother me as much. Just, you know, we got to harden those things, take it up to experience, and move forward. Okay, so got the oil on there. It's dried for about 7 hours, almost 8 hours. And then I picked up, which I had, actually, I picked up off the bench, some pasting finishing wax. The oil finish with one coat seemed like it really hardened the surface, and it looks great. But there's still a little bit of a haze to it all. So I'm going to try the pasting wax, and it's the same process. And I feel like it's gonna just give me a little bit better cushion. I put a little bit on these lower shelves off camera, and it looks really, really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the rest of it with one coat of this, and then wait 15 minutes, and we should be good to go. I'm gonna load it in the truck, we'll take it to the house. Hey, thanks so much for watching the build. I really appreciate it. If you think I earned it, give me a like and a subscribe. It really helps me develop the channel and my business, and gets content out to other people that might like to see it. Have a great one. Talk to you later. Bye.